Hi, my name is Woj. I'm the head judge for World Street Workout and Calisthenics Federation for power and endurance. We're going to talk about movement standards for power today. Final event of power, we've got max weighted dips. Athlete must be in support position with good control, so not rocking, not swinging around, and then the athlete, he will hear the command go on their first attempt or before their first attempt, and they're allowed to begin. You're allowed to rest for up to 3 seconds on the top. Your shoulders must travel below the topmost point of the elbow. So again, we're looking at top of the elbow, shoulder. Shoulder must be lower than the top of the elbow. If it's parallel, that will not be deep enough, and you're risking that that rep will be invalidated. Another part for depth that we're looking at is making sure that our hips travel low enough below the top of the bar. So hip crease traveling below the bar. Another thing we could be looking for is the bottom of the belt, as long as the belt is positioned correctly, traveling below the top of the bar, okay? So insufficient shoulder depth will look like this. Insufficient hip depth will look like this. Another example of an invalid rep is going to be loss of control, loss of core tension, or back extension or leg extension. So when legs kick back and they end up hitting the box or extending behind the line of the body, okay? So let's say we dip, and then if we start to open up, that will invalidate that attempt or that repetition specifically. So if you hit the box, that will invalidate your rep. If your legs travel behind you, that also invalidates your rep. Here is an example of an invalid rep due to loss of control or legs moving behind the line of the body. Again, this rep will be invalidated regardless if the athlete touches the box. If the athlete touches the box, that also automatically invalidates the rep. In order to prevent that from happening, I encourage the athletes to ensure that their elbow starts in front of the box or upright post of the dip station they are using. If you're using an open-ended dip bars, make sure that you basically place your elbows in front of the box you're starting on to allow yourself enough space for a slight extension of the body. Once again, loss of control, but this time without touching the box. That's an invalid rep. Another example of a no rep during the dip is the downwards movement. So I hit depth, and then on a recovery, if my body travels back down again before I recover fully, that will invalidate my rep. So at the bottom, there's downward movement. There could also be downward movement towards the second part, like so. That will also invalidate that rep. An example of a no rep due to downwards movement. You are allowed to continue your attempts for however long you wish, as long as you don't exceed the 3 seconds of a pause allowed at the top of the rep. So I perform my rep. When I achieve lockout, I get 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and I must initiate another dip. If I exceed 3 seconds like this, 1, 2, 3, I waited for too long, and my turn is over the